Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another video. And today I would like to once again share even more thoughts on The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie, specifically talking about the Daydreams in greater detail, but also going over some of the additional artwork that is unlocked after you beat the post-game. Now, I was going to start this video on the title screen, but I can't do that because of major spoilers. So, disclaimer, anything beyond this point in the video is major spoilers. So if you haven't played and beat this game, click off. If you don't care, then I hope you enjoy the video. So, without further ado, let me start here because we went through all of these. These were like the credits and then the hot shots. But after you beat the game, you unlock Crow, Tio, Reen, Aurelia at 17, which is the one I really want to show you guys, and then Beyond the Reverie. So, for all you Crow fans out there, there he is sipping some water. I mean, what were the artists at Falcom cooking with this one? The Tio one's really cute. That's like she's off to school or something with her lab coat. Nah, maybe she's not off to school. She's off to work. But if you notice, she has like a Mishi backpack. It's just so cute. I love Tio so much, man. She's great. There's Reen reading a book. He's like, finally, I can relax. Holy shit, these past few years have been rough on me. And then Aurelia at 17. Brace yourself for this. God damn, look at Aurelia. Holy shit. Which this was the one Daydream. We'll go into more detail about that. And I would be shocked if the next time we saw or Aurelia was mentioned, if she wasn't in a relationship with Wallace, because they're perfect for each other. And I think it was it Cold Steel 3? I think it was Cold Steel 3 when they were all in the Imperial capital gathered together before Ash shot Emperor Eugen. And she was talking to, I think it was Laura and Faye, saying about her younger days with Wallace, how they were jousting, and it was a draw. And it's like, come on, man, look at this. They're perfect for each other. And, oh my god. It's just so cool seeing Aurelia like that. We need a prequel about her escapades at Thor's military academy with Wallace getting under Vice Principal Heinrich's skin or something. The #1 Risha Mao fan, by the way. And then Beyond the Reverie, which is the title screen, which I said spoilers at the beginning because there's more than just C being unmasked here. There's Ishmael Gareen. But I love this image so much. I talked about this in the last video about just the way the characters are positioned, which characters they chose. Altina and Milliam hugging each other. It's just a beautiful image, man. How can you not love it? I absolutely love it. So, let us go and load it up. And I'm going to use like the notebook to sort of refresh myself on the Daydreams and talk about them all. So I might as well just like the characters, man. Look at this. I got Lloyd to level 200, but everyone else, you know, they're in that general vicinity. Just incredible. I can't believe like it's going back to it again. I want to keep playing. I'm going to replay. Oh, there's McBird. I love, too, I talked about how he was, when he was teamed up with Duvalier, if he's teamed up with Victor in his badass voice is like, Almighty Conflagration! It's so badass. It's so badass. Oh, I guess it only goes up to there. But, you know, there's all the characters. So, oh, the minigames. Yeah, let's talk about the minigames first. So you get Magical Girl Elisa, which I've gotten comments before. This is connected to Tokyo Xanadu or something. Like there's an anime in Tokyo Xanadu based on Magical Girl Elisa. The beachside vacay, this was great, man. You can with this one you do like the boat ride with all the girls, that unlocks their swimsuits, and then you can do the watermelon smash of the guys, that unlocks their swimsuits as well. But then you can do the intimate moments, and you can do it with pretty much, it's all the girl characters minus Celine and Duvalier, which, man, come on, you couldn't have Duvalier as like the intimate moment. But of all of them, I think the one with Muse was the best, because Muse was the only one unfazed. She's like, "Oh, my dear instructor, yes," and she was in her glory, whereas everyone else was like, "Oh, don't look at me, Reed. Don't do it." Nope, Muse loved it. But yeah, I've kind of come around. Emma is best girl. This is the quiz game that Campanella had in Sky the Third. It's a little tricky. The last one's tricky, but the rest of them, not too bad. Project Tearfing, this sucked. The controls on this weren't good at all. But maybe it's like the idea that there might be combat like that in a future game. Because I know in Koto no Kiseki it's sort of turn-based but also action. I think the bosses are mandatory for turn-based, but a lot of people, similar to how we do high-speed mode for the regular battles, you can do the action combat for the regular battles. And based on how this game ended with the Tearfing, Reen talking to Valimar, and then it typed, "Yes, Reen," I mean, I think they're hinting that Valimar could return. And there's a great moment in one of these, because not only is it the minigame, but you have like conversations and stuff. And Mint is there. She's going to unplug everything. Makarov and Professor Schmidt are losing their minds. And Schmidt says something along the lines of, "Get in the robot already, Schwarzer." It's like Evangelion. Get in the fucking robot, Shinji. Alright, so here's the Daydreams. A Day in the Lives of SSS. This is great. So all these take place in the past. And the majority of the game takes place in like a week in March. I think it's like March 15th to the 22nd. But the prologue took place in February. And that's when the SSS liberated Crossbell. And then a month passes and shit hits the fan. So this is after the prologue. Everyone's all reunited. And you see everyone going about their business. Where Tio is checking in on Yoda, bringing him, which Sully did that too in Cold Steel 4, where she brought him like a healthy snack, and Yona's like, "No, I want Bell Cola and pizza. That's all I want." And Tio is, "This is what you're gonna get." And you have that. You have Randy hinting at his relationship with Mireille, which at the very end of the game we saw in the credits he proposed to her, and then they end up fighting against Mecha Mishi. In a crazy battle, and then they have a nice dinner with the SSS, of course, Chief Sergei, Kia, along with Mireille and Yona. And Mireille gets all flustered at Randy, and Chief Sergei is egging him on, and then Yona said something, "Oh, you bunch of normies!" Oh my god, it was so good. I love the SSS, my favorite group of characters in this entire series. Buried Trails, Beaten Trails, Blaze Trails. Interesting they have this one above that one, because this is actually the first Daydream I unlocked. And this was really cool because in the beginning, in the first act, you spend most of your time at the SSS, then Reen, and then like 45 minutes with C and the picnicking front. So, and I think most people didn't read 3 and 9. I read 3 and 9, so I already knew who Swin and Nadia were. But I think most people were like, "I can't read." Well, I read it. And seeing this was great. They mentioned the artifacts, the Emperor. They're actually, so the Monarch's Regalia, the artifact of the Emperor used in 3 and 9. And then again, because of Elysium in Reverie. They're bringing it around to different members of the Septian Church. Because that's what the Gralsritter does. They take the artifacts and they're like, "Shit, we can't let the humans, the regular mortals, use these things. We gotta dispose of them." That's what Kevin was doing in Sky the Third with the Recluse Cube. So you see that, and you get all these Easter eggs, and then Nadia wants to explore Crossbell, and they end up watching Arc-en-Ciel, and then Risha senses them, goes after them, they start fighting. And then they have a reconciliation that they both led blood-stained lives, where they killed numerous people as the assassins that they are, which they were part of the organization. They never named the organization, did they? I don't think they did. I think the organization is somehow connected to Ouroboros, but I don't think they ever named it. And then Risha, of course, was Yin. And then they have dinner at Zhang Hu's place in Crossbell. Long Lao Tavern, I think it was called, right? And they say goodbye. And then that's when Nadia calls Risha RX. And later in the game when they meet, it's like, oh, hey, RX. And they're like, why you called her RX? Because she has names here. She calls Swin S. Rufus calls him C. Lapis LP. She has names for everybody, so really cute. I loved it. Oh, and that's how you got the moon lens. Oh, my favorite quartz in the game. Oh my god, Saint Estria's Violet and Bloom. This was incredible. One thing I loved about all the Daydreams too, there's a bit of overlap in that, you know, the SSS gets in there a couple times. Reen will be there a couple of times. Lloyd will be there a couple of times. But pretty much everyone has their own specific Daydream. In this case, Kurt and Elliot. You see his name's written there. Elise, Elliot, Una, Muse, and a curious fourth member. Oh, who could that be? It's Kurtina, excuse me. So I like how they give everyone their little side story there. And this was paying homage to Joshua in Sky First Chapter when he was the princess for the play. And because there's a funny thing with Wazzy later in the game. In the post game, you get the group missions, and there's a certain combination with Wazzy, Kurt, Swin, and Joshua. And Wazzy's like, "Oh, Kurt, you look lovely in a schoolgirl's uniform, and Swin in Gothic Lolita, and Joshua as a princess." And they're like, "No, how do you know, Wazzy? Are you using the church's intel for your nefarious purposes?" But Wazzy knew.
Call it a gut feeling, Kurt, but you'd be cute as a button in a schoolgirl uniform. As cute as Swin dolled up in Gothic Lolita.
Huh? How did you... He doesn't know I had to wear that for a mission, does he?
You speak as though you've seen... You couldn't have, because I've never worn one.
Please don't tell me you're abusing the church's intelligence network to dig up this kind of dirt.
Nope. Call it a very intuitive shot in the dark. Why not see how it feels? Joshua, I think you'd look great in a maid uniform.
No thanks.
But anyway, this one, they got to investigate Saint Estrella, so the whole gang goes there, and Kurt dresses up like a girl. They actually get Emma's voice actor to voice Kurtina, which I thought was great. And there's another character named Mika, or Micah. I forget how to pronounce it. It's like M-Y-K-A, so yeah, Mika. And she falls for Kurtina, but then realizes that Kurtina is actually Kurt, and then is like very confused, but is like, "Oh, my Prince Charming!" And you fight like these, there's a portal underneath the school, because of the Great Twilight. There's one of the devils, you gotta kill it. Really good. I loved it. I loved the voice acting, how they changed it up and had Emma's voice actor voice Kurtina. And it was really fun. All these Daydreams, the thing you're going to notice here, there's not a single bad Daydream. They're all good. Home Sweet Turf! Wazzy and Wald! Oh, and you get the Grail Locket from that, too. Again, this takes place after the prologue. Everyone's back, which, again, for that prologue, there was the whole faction where you had Wazzy, Wald, and Scarlet go in there and liberate. I'm kind of upset we never got to see Abbas. They name-drop Abbas quite a bit. And they had that art with Abbas and Wazzy and Wald in these outfits at the end of Azure. So I'm kind of sad Abbas wasn't there, but what can you do? And they go back there, and it shows everyone hanging out with, you know, Wald with the Saber Vipers, Wazzy with the Testaments, and there's a really sweet conversation with Dino, who, when Wald turned into his demonic form in Azure, destroying the downtown district, Dino, I think, was the only one who didn't go to the hospital, and then they rebuilt everything. And Dino was saying to Wald, because Wald was going to apologize, "No, don't apologize. You got to carry that sin for the rest of your life." And in a way, I think it all helped us grow up and move on from the gang. Which, again, a really, really great scene. Wazzy is bonding with the Testaments. He runs into this lady in, like, the entertainment district. And they're like, "Oh, it's the host, Wazzy, my favorite host." And they pull that whole shtick again about how Wazzy was the host, which is just hilarious. And then eventually, Wazzy and Wald run into each other again, and they want to settle things. Remember, in Azure, they had their battle on the rainy day, and Wazzy kicked his ass, and they start fighting again. and they're like charging up their attack. And Fran, there's also a lot of cool stuff with Fran and Noelle bonding. And Fran comes running in. Noe, you gotta stop him. There's a big fight at the downtown district. And the two of them are charging up their attack like, yeah. And then Noelle, act your age, boys. What are you doing? And she knocks them both down. And everyone watching the fight is like, oh, I guess it's not Wazzy or Walt who's the strongest. It's the CGF chick. She's the strongest. And Noelle starts blushing. And Fran's just there like, way to go, Noe. You're the strongest. What a great Daydream. Down the rabbit hole. This one got me choked up, man. This is great. This is before really anything that happens in Reverie, but after Cold Steel 4, because this is like only a few days after Milliam got her body back, and they went back to the Black Workshop. They got some intel from George and Professor Schmidt, and they go back to the Black Workshop, and there's a message. Well, yeah, Milliam's trying to get Lammy. Gonna find Lammy, and a really cute scene where she hugs Lammy again. But there's also a message there from Franz Reinfeld, and it got me really choked up because he had a couple things. One, to Milliam and Altina, saying, you know, you can finally live the lives that you always deserve to have, and you see like the two of them smile. And I always like the contrast between Milliam and Altina, how Milliam's just this happy-go-lucky girl and Altina is kind of reserved. But as the games go on, Altina really opens up a lot. And then there's also a message for Elisa, like, you know, I'm sorry all the suffering I caused you, but just know your father's proud of you, and I love you so much, and just all this nice stuff. And then even something to Reem, like, you know, to anyone else watching, you know, carry on my legacy and build for a better tomorrow. Just great stuff. And you see Eustace there too, because he's with Milliam. And I think there was a funny line where he's, you know, act your age, Milliam. What are you doing? You gotta act more ladylike. And Milliam says, oh, just you wait, Eustace. I'm gonna get boobies so big, you won't know what to do with them. When she said something like that in the early games, how she's gonna get boobies bigger than Emma's. Oh, what a great, down the rabbit hole. What a great one. To your blessed future. Oh my God, another great one. So this is right before Olivier and Shara are going to get married. And you see a little conversation with Shara and Empress Priscilla, where they're both talking about how they're kind of not worthy. Because Empress Priscilla, you remember, she was the maid, right? Emperor Eugent got married to Ariel Lenheim. And of course, she was murdered by the Jaegers. And then remarried the maid, Priscilla. And then she had Alphen and Cedric. And Shara's talking about that, and then they're going to look at the wedding dress, but it turns out the wedding dress has been stolen, and there's a note from none other than Phantom Thief B, Olivier's most elusive rival. And of course, the calling cards take them all over Heimdall, where the two of them reminisce about their meeting in Liberl, among other things. And then finally, they make their way to the villa, and they find their wedding dress, but along with that, they also find a tiara, which has long been lost in the royal family, and it's been returned with a nice letter from Blue Blanc saying that, you know, his dear rival's wife is the only one fit to wear it, and just a really sweet Daydream. And Blue Blanc has got to be one of the most underrated enforcers and members of Ouroboros. You know, everyone will probably tell you their favorites are McBurn or Louvet or whoever else. Blue Blanc is one of my favorites, man. He's so cool. I love how he's been in more or less every game in one form or another, whether it's just his calling cards, doing something like this, or actually being in the game. And the fact like that he helped, he saved Olivier's life in Cold Steel 4, or rather at the end of Cold Steel 3. Oh my God, what a legend. I love Blue Blanc. This is such a sweet scene. And there's also a note from Luciola to Shara. Oh, incredible. A Maiden's Melancholy. So yeah, this is about the three ladies. What do we call this group? The three MILFs? I don't know if they're really MILFs because they're in their 20s. they're younger than me at this point. But yeah, Sarah, Claire, and Sharon, and they're all going together. And I always love the back and forth with Sarah and Sharon. How, you know, oh, what am I doing with this lady? Like, why are you always with me? Oh, Lady Sarah, I know you love me. Oh, you know, the back and forth. And there's a cameo here from the Emperor where he's going around. And then you meet Major Irving's sister, Isara, who ends up becoming Toa's replacement at the branch campus, because there's a bit of shakeup there. Of course, Randy leaves, going back to the SSS. Major Irving's going back to the RMP. Toa got promoted to Major Irving's spot, and then Isara takes Toa's spot. And there's a nice reconciliation with Claire and Isara, because of course Claire's past and how she lost a lot of her family and kept herself distant from Michael and Isara. So, good stuff. I like to, a couple of these Daydreams have like little mini dungeons. This one in particular, Down the Rabbit Hole, had that one as well, where you control the characters and it's not all a visual novel. So not really much to say about this one, but I liked it all the same. And Sarah also says something about like the Badass Babies Brigade or something like that. The Path Chosen, I love this one. This is when we learned about Toa, how she's going to become the head instructor at the branch campus. And really, this is such an underrated group of characters. I talked about them before. Everyone loves Toa. Everyone loves Crow. But I feel like, and everyone does hate Angelica. I've made my case why I like her. But people don't really care for George. And I think this whole group, these 4 characters, work so well together. The fact that they're the Proto Class 7, I like to call them Class 6, who use the Arcus units first. How, you know, Toa has always remained so pure, and I like to say she's the smallest girl, but she has the biggest heart. Whereas the other 3, in one way or another, betrayed each other, but then came back in the end. It's so nice to see the 4 of them interact with each other. And you also see some more stuff going on at the branch campus. There's like a session where Reen and Crow are rocking out in the band club, in the music club, I should say. And I think they bring up Toa and her performance at the school festival and her outfit. And Toa's like, no, don't bring that up again. Don't tell the kids. But yeah, Toa has like this decision to make whether or not she wants to do the things abroad and help Calvert and rebuilding and whatever, or she wants to stay and teach, and she elects to do both while also becoming the head instructor. And you can see everyone bond once again, and then they joke, I think it was Angelica who said it, Crow, you never graduated, so you should go back to school and you can have instructor read. And it's just so good, man. It's so good. And how everyone's going to go their own ways. Crow is going to go back to Jirai and see what's going on there, go on his own journey and live for Ordine. George is going to start working under Professor Schmidt, and Angelica is going to try to calm down, but also go on her own journey, and also mentions some stuff about Kilika. They named Kilika by actual name and not just the Taito practitioner in the East. Justice Adu, like, dude, how are Dudley and Machias not related? They both have the green hair, the glasses, they have their duties that they like to fulfill. They're rule followers. I mean, it's just, I love coffee, as we learn in this one, which I just, I'm looking at that now, that's the bonus. You get the recipe for coffee after completing it. But yeah, something's going on with the coffee, and they start bonding over their ideals and what they hold true, and they gotta find the culprit. And it turns out the culprit is none other than Minith and the old lady from Calvert, who I don't remember if they first appeared in Zero or they were definitely in Azure, but I don't remember if they appeared in Zero first. But yeah, they were in Azure, and you gotta stop them. There's a great cutscene where Dudley like pulls out his gun, but it doesn't work, so he does the Justice Hammer. And all I'm thinking is, we were robbed, man. How come Dudley wasn't a playable character, not even in the main story, but in the Reverie corridor as well? I mean, I guess I kind of understand, because Dudley had his duties going on in Crossbell with the others, but man, he was a party member in Zero and Azure. How could you not make him a party member in this game? Which, going back to Shera, I don't remember if I mentioned about her being a party member or not, but her excuse is she's pregnant, okay? I can understand her not being in battle because she's pregnant. Fair enough. But other characters like Dudley, Muir, Chloe, like, just come on, man. Alan, Richard, Annalise, put them all in the party, please. But again, not really much more to say about this one. Just fantastic. I loved it. I love the confrontation at the end. Justice, which Dudley's S-Craft is called Justice Hammer, and Machias is called Justice Bullet, okay? The Fallen Prince! Dude. I know I keep saying, oh, this was the best one, this was the best one. This has got to be like top 3. The Fallen Prince, where we learned that, well, at the end of Cold Steel 4, how Cedric was going to join Ouroboros. But now he's officially an Enforcer. Enforcer number 19. Which Shirley is Enforcer number 16. Ren was 15. So, man, who are 17 and 18? Are we ever going to find them out? We still don't know, like, half the Enforcers. But, yeah, Cedric has to undertake quite an obstacle against the Red Constellation. And then our boy Gilbert back there, the great Gilbert Stein, which you can control Cedric in battle. And then at the very end, you actually see he is watching Olivier's wedding. So he's in the shadows just watching it. And he's walking his own path. And I really do like Cedric as a character. I hated this guy so much, like you couldn't imagine in Cold Steel 3 and the majority of Cold Steel 4. But at the very end of Cold Steel 4, and now with this game, I'm rooting for him. And I could see him become like another type of Louve character where he has his redemption arc in the future. And I like his pairing of Shirley. You know, you may think Shirley's crazy or whatever, but I like Shirley. She's a cool character. The Orbital Gear Part 1 and 2. I found this interesting that we split this up into 2 parts. But the reason for that is because in Sky the Third, it was split into 2 parts. And this is obviously paying reference to that. Paying homage, I should say. And very similar to that, where Erica is still hassling Agate. I'll get you, Agate Crossner, you damn redhead. You leave my daughter alone. Which, you know, similar to in Sky the Third, building the Orbital Gear. The first time around, it doesn't really work out so well. But then, well, actually, she ends up saving the airship. Which that airship is Marcus Ballard's. Which you learn in another Daydream, how it's connected. And the Emperor was watching it. Which begs the question if he caused the airship to malfunction with his artifact. The, you know, because it calls her gravity or whatever. But yeah, and I liked how you could also control him in the Einhell Keep. Where, who joins your party? I think it's Yuna, Muse, Altina, and then Princess Alphen joins the party. So that was cool. And yeah, Tita has a new S-Craft cut-in, which is that image you can see right there. And like the final boss, Erica's controlling a mech, and then Agate's there too. And then Erica starts attacking Agate. And Agate, what's your problem, woman? You damn Agate Crossner, leave my daughter alone. Oh man. Oh shit, we're going too fast. Wishes of a Witch. This one was great. I was crying during this one. This is basically the party of best girls. Emma is the best girl. And you go back to Erin Village. You can control them again. Talk to all the characters. one of the NPCs is making fun of Granny Rose and calls her Granny Rose, which is why I call Roselia Granny Rose, because Emma calls her grandmother. But you go to a spirit shrine that has appeared once more, and you learn about Isola Milstein, who is Emma's mother, and how she had fought against the previous incarnation of Alberic, and they both killed each other in battle. And there's like a message at the end, her memories, where she says that Emma will turn into a fine wandering witch. And a beautiful, beautiful scene. In the beginning, too, there was like the prequel, I guess, where you met Celine, how she became a familiar. And just a sweet scene where Emma's like, oh, what a pretty kitty. Your name's Celine. And then Celine, I'll turn you into the best witch you'll possibly find, you know? You'll always have me watching you. Really cute scene. And then Vita just disappears, and Granny Rose is like, you brazen hussy, what are you doing? Oh, don't worry, grandmother, I have my own duties to fulfill. So it's just cute seeing all the witches interact together. And I like that you could explore Erin Village again and talk to everybody. And you can also go to the hot springs, which is great. Which is how you unlock the bathrobes for all those ladies. The more things change. This is also homage to Sky the Third, which that's the debut of Lecter, Sky the Third, in that door. And this actually gives you context as to what Lecter was even doing in Crossbell, where he was given the order to go there, and you get some cute bonding with Chloe and Lucy. And I'm like, Lecter, what are you doing, bro? You have these two hotties begging for you. You're trying to run away. But I liked how it ended with them on the roof, similar to Sky the Third. And really great scene. And there's also some more stuff about Osborn there. How Osborn is one of the best characters, and how he put everything above himself. You know, like he turned himself into the villain to save Erebonia. And that's why Osborn's one of the best. That's why Osborn is the legend. Ultimate Wilderness Cooking. This one was great, man. Freddy. Where they're trying to get some dishes ready for Olivier and Shara's wedding. And they have a few teams. They have, Yuna, Sandy, Tita, Kenneth and Annabelle are there. And a few others. And then Freddy, they're like, oh God, what are you going to cook, Freddy? So you actually control him. And you go into the wilderness and you fight all these monsters. And he one-shots everything. Like, he's the most overpowered character in the entire game. And then he finds, the raccoon or whatever he's hunting. And he does an S-craft attack to defeat it. And he brings it back. And then you have the people who are taste testing. And I love who they chose for that, too. You have Inspector Reiner, Machias's buddy, Marcus Ballard, and then Granny Rose. And the entire time, Marcus Ballard is picking on Granny Rose like, what is a mere child doing here? And Granny Rose, I'm 800 years old, I'll have you know. Oh, preposterous. And then they're serving all the food, and everyone's liking it. And then once Freddy's ready to serve it, they're like, oh shit, why did we let Freddy in on this competition? But they all really liked his dish. And Freddy's like, oh, this is excellent. I'm gonna open my own restaurant. So Freddy, the legend, like the fact that they made an entire Daydream. You see these other Daydreams here. Like we have Lecter, we have Emma, we have Tita, we have Cedric. Like all these important characters. And Freddy, like making a whole Daydream on him and making it really good. It's just incredible. So bravo game. I loved it. I would love to see a cameo of Freddy. Like let's say in the Calvary games. He's just out there in the wilderness and you run into him. And it's like, that's my boy. Oh, one lucky stone and one unlucky ship. Another interesting combination. Like you see Jingo and Marcus Ballard here. You're like, how the hell are the two of them connected? And how is this going to be any good? Another excellent Daydream. Where it gives you the backstory of how Jingo got the Argo, her airship. And, it makes you like Marcus Ballard. Like, I think the guy's great. Cold Steel 3, this Jamoke, what's he doing here? But you come around on him, and he's a pretty fun character. Like, Machias is inspecting his office or whatever. He gets the airship. He hates how it looks. He experiences difficulties in travel due to the Emperor while Tita's Daydream was happening. And then Jingo at the Nine Volley shop in Crossbell. No, she's actually in Heimdall, I'm sorry. Yeah, her mother has the shop in Crossbell, but then she opens a new shop in Heimdall, in Partiri's district. And gets all these visitors from Beryl to Shirley to Zeno and Leo to Tio. And ends up trading all these things, starting with the stone, gets like this weird doll, gets a bomb or something, and then finally the golden Mishi statue, which I think it was Zeno and Leo who gave it to her. And they had some lore about that, how it was part of Speaker Hartman's collection. Remember Speaker Hartman from the Crossbell games? Holy crap. And then eventually Tio gets word of the gold Mishi, and she's like, I want it! I need it! So Jingo offers a trade because Marcus Ballard was pissed off about the airship and decided to scrap it. So the Epstein Foundation got a hold of it, and they agreed to trade the golden Mishi statue for the airship. What an incredible Daydream, man. Incredible. And Tio is so wholesome. Unlimited blade crafts. This is great. Is this copyright infringement of Fate Stay Night? But anyway, there's a tournament going on because Olivier remembers his time in Trails in the Sky first chapter, the tournament there, and he wants everyone to participate. So that's what they do. And I got to think for a minute about the teams. There was General Craig and Wallace. There was Cassius Bright and Zex Vander, Arios and Victor. Aurelia and Mrs. Vander, Oliver, Alphen, and Toval, and then Reen and Duvalier. Oh, and Patrick and Ferris. And I think there was someone else. Was it Vincent? It was Patrick, Ferris, Celestine, and someone else. It might have been Vincent. But yeah, Reen teams up with Duvalier, but for the game's sake, you got to bring 2 more characters. I decided to bring Kurt and Laura because both their parents were in the tournament, so it only made sense. And it was really sweet at the end when Duvalier shook Reen's hand. That's just how Duvalier is. I wish it was more of a hug, but we'll settle for a handshake because that's how Duvalier is. And I really do hope we see Duvalier again. She made it sound like she's going back to Ouroboros. But I thought after everything that happened, she'd be like, fuck Ouroboros. But she has to carry the legacy of the Stalritter in the name of her lord. So, good for her. I love Duvalier, man. Okay, look on the bright side. So all those daydreams were unlocked in the main story. And then these other daydreams are in the post-game. Look on the bright side. The Bright family goes on vacation in Ymir, in the hot springs. And there's a snowball fight. Red jokes about how, Cassius and Estelle are like father, like daughter. Joshua's like, yep, they've always been that way. They go to the hot springs. We have Estelle and Ren bonding in their section. And then Cassius and Joshua in their section. And Cassius literally says, like, so, Joshua, when are you going to marry Estelle? I'm getting tired. I need some grandkids. Which, I know people take that the weird way. Because in the game, they're adopted brother and sister. But you gotta understand, there's no blood relation there. And okay, it's weird to us in the United States, but in Japan, that's why they did the Reen and Elise shipping thing too, because they're not blood related either. Because Reen is Osborne and Kashia's kid, not Teo and Lucius Sworger. Anyway, so we all know Estelle and Joshua are to get married. It was just funny that Cassius said that, and then Gilbert shows up. And once they start fighting Gilbert, he's like, once I defeat the Brights, they'll promote me to an enforcer for sure. So you kick his ass, and then Cassius does this ultra mega attack, which he should have been a playable character too, but he's too overpowered, I guess. And then Ren finally calls him dad, and he's like, oh, my daughter called me dad. Okay, Cassius. And then he's like, oh no, at least I called you that at once. And Ren says, Cassius just feels better. What a sweet family. One step forward. This was great. This was when Makarov finally proposed to Mary, which they've hinted at this since the first Cold Steel game. And it was so kino because you had Mary's father show up, and then Marcus Hyams, Patrick's father, along with Wallace shows up, and it's like, all right, you're going to go on a blind date with Wallace, and you're going to marry him. And Wallace, I think he actually did have feelings for Mary, but, maybe it was a bit of a setup. And then finally, Mary's like, no, I'm in love with Makarov. And then Makarov busts open the door like, no, I object. And he pulls out the ring and proposes to Mary. And then Mint's there like, you go, Uncle Makarov. It's just such a sweet scene. And then it shows some more stuff with Wallace and Aurelia. And that's when you also see that image I showed at the start of this video. Of Aurelia looking pretty hot in her school days, which she still looks pretty hot. And I do hope that they become an item in a future game as well. I can dream. Thor's open house. This one was fantastic, man. It starts with Ash helping Toval with bracer duties until, the main story starts. And then Toval's like, oh, after you graduate in a year, you gotta join. And Ash says, all right, I'll think about it. And then you see Ash's inner demon, the side of him that shot Emperor Eugen in his dark side, and he's fighting with that. And he says he's going to quit the school in a week or in a couple days or something. So the open house shows up. Principal Le Guin gathers everyone and says, all right, with this year up, we're going to have some new kids join, and we got to show them all the clubs and activities. And they thrust Ash upon the committee leader to go around and oversee everyone, and Muse's just doing her devilish smile. Oh, Ash, you gotta do this. It's fine. And you get really sweet moment with Ash and Tatiana, which again is another really cute couple with the reading club. And you can go around and control Ash, talk to everybody. You see Celestine, and he's talking to Frankie, who's the janitor, And remember, Super Butler was the one who gave Frankie his job, and he's so proud of Frankie. And, oh, just little details like that. You see Yuna's family there watching. You see Mika, the little girl from Saint Estrella who had a crush on Kurtina, and then Kurt, and is looking for Kurt. And Ash says something like, oh, that girl's got to pull herself together. Who's she looking for? If only you knew, Ash, but we know because we played all the Daydreams. So you do all your duties, and then Ash is getting ready to go. And then they have the first Student Council President election, where it's Leonora, Stark, and Ash are all nominated. And Ash is like, why the hell am I nominated? And everyone from New Class 7 says, you know, you're the perfect one for the job. You got this, Ash, etc., etc. And it turns out that Ash won by twice the amount of votes as everyone else. And he can't go now, but he ends up having a conversation with Reen and airs all his grievances. But one by one, everyone shows up from New Class 7 to Tatiana to Aurelia. And you even see Major Irving, Toa, and Randy listening in the shadows. And then Ash says, all right, I can't go. I got to stay and see it through to the end, which I thought was so good. And the fact that Ash became the Student Council President, so awesome. And then at the very end, it shows like who's on the council, and he made Tatiana the treasury. Leonora and Stark got other positions as well, and then he made Muse the vice president. You know, just to stick it to her. So good. Through Memories Aglow. This is probably my favorite Daydream in the entire game, where you get the backstory of Osborn. First, Emperor Eugen invites Reen to the capital, and he gives them a picture of young Gileath Osborn, Kasia, and young Reen. And it was in the fireplace, and Reen's like, oh, it was nice that he had this memento, and he was thinking of us at the very end. And he goes through like these diary entries of Osborn, how Osborn was always a good guy, but had to play the role of a villain to save the Emperor, to save his son. And you just wonder how things would have been if his wife didn't get killed, if Reen wasn't in trouble, if he didn't have to replace his heart and give it to Reen. You wonder if things would have been different. But, you know, things worked out the way they did, and we just have to live with that. But I like how it showed, like, the order of which Ironbloods joined him. Elector was the first one, then there was Rufus, Claire, Milliam. He mentioned how Milliam broke Claire and Elector out of their shells, made them smile more. Mentioned when he saw Reen and Cold Steel 1 for the first time, and Reen was just like his mother, who always put everyone above himself. Again, kind of just like him. Just like Osborn. Crow Armbrust, it showed like the shot of Crow in his sea attire. And Valimar, just a look back on everything. The Third Way, which we know that from Sky the Third, with Olivier and Muir aboard the Arcee. And Olivier did find the Third Way, absolutely. The end of Cold Steel 3, and then it shows Osborn at the very end, like, Goddess, if you're listening, can a man such as myself give you one last prayer? Please watch over my son for me. It's just so fucking Kino. Because, remember, I think we saw that. Did we see it in Cold Steel 3 or 4? In the Spirit Shrines, when you get the other side of Osborn's story, and that's when Ishmelga heeds his call, and he says, you know, Goddess or devil, anyone listening, save my son! And that's when he makes the deal with Ishmelga. Oh my god. And Reen wakes up from a dream crying, as if he saw these journal entries, and says, you know, he has to live and be happy because of the sacrifices everyone made for him. And then you hear Yuna, Kurt, Muse, Altina, Ash all talking in the background, and then Reen gets up and he has the picture there. Beautiful picture. So that's really it. I talked about the other Daydreams in the previous video, but just to go through them again, we had the one with the Grandmaster. You just refer to the video I previously did talking about her. We also had, we had the one with Reen going to Calvert looking for Master Ka-Fi, where he ran to Kuragane. And then the Princess. And then, of course, Ren. I got some more screenshots of the Ren stuff. But yeah, Ren's going to Calvert to become a student there. Her conversation with Tita, where you see she's a little older as well. And they're talking about Agate, how Tita's mom, Erica, is still causing Agate some problems. Then there's this asshole, Ronald, I think his name is, who's like, he's trying to hit on Ren. And Ren's had enough of his bullshit, so she pulls out her scythe and starts wreaking havoc. And this shot right here, just look at her, channeling the Angel of Slaughter. I love it, man. I can't wait to see more of Ren in Trails Through Daybreak. Just look at her, man. Just look at her. And then, of course, Elaine, which I'm really looking forward to learning more about her. And then, finally, the end. So, what more can I even say? I mean, I've gone pretty long. I talked mainly about the Daydreams. I guess that's it. We'll just end it here. So, I don't know. I think this is it for my Trails into Reverie videos. If there's anything else you'd like me to cover in regards to this game, please leave a comment down below. Otherwise, my next Trails video will most likely be ranking all 10 games from least favorite to most favorite. I'm still thinking about it because I don't know what my favorite is. I don't even know what my least favorite. Well, actually, my least favorite is probably... I don't even know. That's a hard question. We'll get to that in another video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out.
I'll let you handle the cleanup.
Will someone else babysit this buffoon? I can't take this!
Nighty-night, kitty cats.
Nighty-night.